Hello everyone, welcome back to the This Is Me podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm Ellie, and today we have Emma joining us. Emma is a transformational coach, and her whole purpose in life is to make the next generation of women's lives easier. So, Emma, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
And we're excited to have you. So why don't you kick us off and tell us a bit about yourself and how you've got to where you are today?
So I'm Emma. I am a transformational coach, as Ellie just said, and it isn't somewhere where I thought I would land. My whole life has been around, my whole life up until about 5 years ago was all around my corporate identity, about my corporate career, about how I fit into that corporate world, how I fit in. And while I was doing that, I missed out on bringing my kids up. So I had my kids when I was 19, whilst building this career that actually served us really well. I'm never going to be one of those women who says, oh, I hated the corporate machine, because I didn't. But what I did learn very, very quickly was that it was a very set path, and I'm not meant for set paths. And I can remember sitting in a meeting room one day, and we worked in offices in York, beautiful setting, looking over the river. And there was a couple of things that happened. I was sitting in the meeting room waiting for the meeting to start, and I watched young women come through the door full of hope and full of just the energy of newness coming through the door. I was like, oh my God, I haven't felt that for so long. Worked in a really male dominated environment. I haven't felt that for so long. And then when I was looking out of the window, I thought, you know what? I want that energy again for me, because I don't think it's about age. I don't think it's about maturity. I think it's about a mindset that you get to be the new person as many times as you want to be the new person. You get to have that energy as often as you want it. And I could remember, and it isn't a very nice saying, and I've tried a million different ways to say it, but I can remember in that moment thinking, I'm going to end up dead unless I do something different. And it wasn't that I was talking about real life death, but I'd seen too many people where they just were repeating years. And I thought, there's more to this than repeating years. And when I decided to leave, I took a massive big runway out of corporate. It wasn't a snap decision and off I'm gone. But when I decided to leave, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But what I did know was the thing that I love the most in the whole world is being able to sit with somebody and extract from them everything that they've ever wanted from this lifetime, and then being able to show them that they can do that, and not from a strategic perspective, not from a action plan perspective, but from a belief and energetic perspective. And I didn't have any of those words that I could have said at the time. And I thought, well, I'll do that. I'll set up this thing, and I'll help other people. I didn't even know that it was women at that time. I'll help other people live the best life, so they're never sitting in a meeting room saying there's got to be more to this. And that's what I still do. And for the last 4.5 years, I've run my private coaching practice, and it's been a wild ride for anybody who's listening, who's an entrepreneur or business owner. It's a wild ride, but that ride is everything that I'd been waiting for all those years. So that's why I've landed here.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Well, there's a lot to unpick there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. So you talked, which I think is really interesting, because we do a lot of work with identity. When you talk about your corporate identity, tell us a bit more about that, because I think it's a really great reflection for anybody listening, that sometimes you don't realise you've taken on a corporate identity, do you? You don't really realise who you've become. So if you could share a bit about that, Emma, that would be really interesting, if you wouldn't mind.
I think you're completely right, Karen. I think you don't realise how much you have moulded your own life, your own belief systems, your own value systems based on, and for me, I worked for lots of different business units, with two predominant businesses in the corporate world for 20 odd years. And what I didn't realise was I had became those organisations.
Yeah.
And the first conversation where I realised that my whole identity wasn't as a mum, wasn't as Emma, wasn't as Lindsay's partner, but it was as the woman who goes into the meeting rooms and makes people feel better, the woman who goes into meeting rooms and gets union reps to be reasonable, I didn't even realise that until I was sitting in a one-to-one one day, a couple of years actually, before I even thought about leaving. And I was with my boss, who was very, man, had worked in the industry his whole life, man and boy, man and boy. I'm sure his dad and his grandfather or whoever had all worked in that industry. And I can remember trying to have like a conversation that said, do you know the way we do things, it could be different? And he said to us words along the lines of, it'll never be different. You have to change. And I can remember getting into this big debate with him. And he said, well, the thing is, what you've got to get your head round is you're just one of those women who will always give everything to whatever you do. And we're really lucky because you give that to us. And it wouldn't matter if you went and sold pot noodles in the corner shop, you would still be as passionate. And it was that moment where I thought, oh, wow, hang on. I can like detach from the fact that I'm this woman who shows up like that. And I honestly loved work for the majority of the time. But it was that conversation that made us think, and it probably wasn't as diplomatic as that, and I probably received it a bit more harshly than that. I was probably a bit devastated at the time. But it was that conversation where I thought, oh, hang on, he can actually see a human in here. And it took us like a good couple of years to start being able to detach myself from the work that I was doing and start to look in. And when I started to look in, like I was that woman who was in every organisational change room because I knew what to say to people. I was the woman who was at every meeting that she didn't need to be at because she made people feel better. She could get people to do stuff. And as soon as he'd said that to us for a couple of years, I started to look in. I was like thinking, oh, that's like a skill. Really? That's something that I didn't even know had value. And I can remember sitting in the last organisational change meeting that I ever sat in. Well, the start of the last set of organisational change that I ever sat in the room. And I was sitting with the guy who, there was two of us always drafted in. And I was sitting and I was like, I'm going to go and do this, you know. And he was like, you can't, man. Like, this is who you are. You look after customers. You look after people. You look after this. And I was like, yeah, but I can do it so much differently. I can do it so much differently. And it was in that moment where I thought, if I don't try now, I have to accept that this is my identity. And of course it was different language, but I just thought, I can no longer, now that I've seen it, now that I've seen that I'm just beating somebody else's drum, I can't keep beating it. And it was kind of that moment.
Yeah.
So can I ask then, did it feel like you were in an environment where he was right, you couldn't make a change, you would have to change? Is that what it felt like? Because I think, I don't know whether that's always true, do you know what I mean? Like you can try.
I don't think it is always true. I think I can give you like a rundown of my CV. There are lots of things that have changed, but what I've never changed is the institution. And what I learned in that moment, and I've just had this very conversation today, is like I worked in transport, I worked in rail for years, and I still say it to people who have come to us. I still say
you can't really change that.
No, I still say to people who have come to us, like they're dying trying to make this big, like significant thing happen. And I say to them, do you know you will die trying, like rounds and rounds of change, rounds and rounds of contract negotiations, rounds and rounds of new trains. Like it all feels good, and I was part of it all, but it wasn't my legacy. Wasn't my legacy to leave. So you can definitely change things, but sometimes when you're in that kind of organisation or in that kind of industry, it's going to take a few generations to shift.
Yeah,
and I
also think in some of those industries, possibly something seismic that actually changes 100%. The industry at its heart.
100%. It's like it almost, and it's like when AI came to the world and everybody who was like coding or writing, it was like, oh my God, I have to now be human. And that's the bit that I love about where I am now. Like everything, somebody could go and Google the things that they think they come in to learn from us. What they can't Google is actually go a bit deeper, go inside, because that's where the answer is. And I think that's the current identity that I live in.
I read, I was reading somewhere, because I'm a professional coach and psychologist as well, and I was reading something with somebody we work with who was having a debate with two guys, David Clutterbuck and Jonathan Passmore, who are quite, renowned in this field. And they are having the debate about how AI is starting to replace almost transactional coaching.
Yes.
And actually, some of the stuff you can actually Google and it will give you the answer. And I was thinking, yeah, but that's really not always the answer. That's not really, sorry, I don't mean the answer. It's not always the problem or the
exactly
thing.
Exactly
I thought
that.
it was really interesting.
I believe that while we are still humans operating as humans, like I could have a whole different debate about you with that about you, like humans in their current form. You can see me brain's gone somewhere else. But while
I'm not answering because I'll be there with you.
I was thinking, come back. While humans are humans in their current form, the thing that we can never have replaced is our heart. And even that, when, like, to go back to the identity question, I can remember for a few years always like being the person in the room that said, I know that's the thing that the program tells us to do, but what about how it fails? Like, what is your heart saying, like, rather than your head? And we kind of started to make some of those changes in the teams that I was in, but it just wasn't enough for me. It wasn't like, I love working with somebody now where I'm like, oh my God, we literally sat and changed their life. Like, they did the
awesome,
work.
isn't it?
I just knew where to take them. But when you see somebody like that girl who I was just having a conversation with at lunchtime, and she's in one of our dreams 4 years ago, she wanted a husband, a house and a baby. And now we're sitting in the house, our husband's ringing her and our baby's on her knee. Like, that's it for me. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I've done enough now.
Thank you very much, world.
And I think that, like, it is important though, isn't it? Because technically speaking, we all know what we need to, like, we all know what we need to do to make a change. But that doesn't matter if you can't, if there's something stopping you doing it.
If there's something blocking you, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about setting up your business, because it's something Elle and I are really interested in, about supporting self-employed women. Because you say, oh, and I was here and I was a corporate, and then suddenly I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah, well, let's chat about that.
It didn't feel like that.
So tell us about not necessarily how you set the business up and anything, but about your journey on, the last 4 years.
Do you know what happened? So I'd decided this flight path. I had conversations and said, I'll do this round of organisational change, then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And that was like summer of 2019. I'd had that conversation with my boss. And then in this round of organisational change that we implemented after Christmas, like we always put everybody through torture at Christmas, like that was always how the budget worked. And we're sitting in January and I'd said to her, I'm going. You've remembered that I'm going. Like, I've written myself out of the organisation. I am going. And she's like, well, stick with it for this year. And I was like, definitely not. I'm not doing another Christmas. Like, my kids were 22 and 23 at the time. Like, I'm not doing another Christmas where I'm not at home. Like, I've made that decision. It's took us 23 years, but I've made that decision. So I said, how's about I'll go on my holidays in September and I'll not come back. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to go on my holidays and not come back. She was like, oh no, September, this will not be embedded, that'll not be done. I was like, well, I'm not staying for Christmas either, so I'll leave at the end of November. So this is January 2020.
Yeah, COVID.
And then COVID happened. So in the middle of so we've embedded we've enforced the organisational change. Whether it's embedded or changed a million times since then, I don't know. And then it got to March, and I'm a problem solver. I'm a troubleshooter. I'll do 100 people's jobs so that somebody feels safe over there. So in COVID, I like all of those type A personality traits were like amplified. So I was needed even more. And that for me is like, oh my God, somebody needs me. Like, it's just one of those traits that I've got. And I had only told a select few people that I was going, and they all started to say, you're not going, surely you're not going to leave this very safe industry in this time. And I was like, more reason to go. So I'd spent like 8 months, knowing that we were in pandemic. And to be fair to the organisation that I worked for, rather than giving us outplacement activity, which I knew I wouldn't use, I'd kind of had this conversation that said, I just feel like I want to go and explore professional coaching. I want to use whatever investment you're going to give us for something that I might use in the future, not somebody to write my CV. So I'd been going through professional coach training at the same time with a company called, and I don't think they're a company anymore. I think Ali, who ran the company, went and he's like a guru in Peru or something these days. It was called Mindful
Nice.
Talent. And so I was going through my coaching training in the pandemic as well. So when I left, I thought, oh, this is all going to be okay. Like, I've got my qualification. I've got enough people in my network. I'll make it happen. Like, I'd lined calls up for the Monday after I'd left work, like all of that stuff. And then what happened, and this is probably the most pivotal part of my story that I always want people to hear, is I got through Christmas, busied myself, decorated the house, had the Christmas of our dreams, blah, blah, blah. And then on the 2nd of January, just couldn't move myself. Like I wasn't physically unable to move. I was physically able to move, but my brain just didn't know what to do next. Me thoughts had gone to places where they'd never been allowed to go before. And I literally remember my youngest daughter, Faye, was in her final year at uni. And I can remember, and it was a few houses ago, because that's a whole different set of the story. It was a few houses ago, but I can remember being on my bed, having to support her through our final major project work, because I couldn't rouse myself. I couldn't, like my whole system just stopped. And I'm really lucky. I didn't become unwell. I didn't have the illness that many
Could have
women
happened, yeah.
end up with when they stop. But I think it's only because I stopped. And it's only because I decided in that moment that the only thing, and for all I decided it in that moment, I've forgotten it a few times along the way, the only thing that mattered was that I felt safe and held. And I had to learn to do that for myself. And so the setting up of the business was everything and nothing, because I had to look after me. And then what happened was, and I think this is always, I'll go a bit spiritual now, because I need to tell you this bit of the story. So that was in the January. I had enough money to last us a few months. So I knew I had like a few months worth of money. And then I got to the time when the money had run out. And I'd had to say to Lindsay, for the first time in my whole life, I can't pay my bills tomorrow. And I can, I've got the same feeling in my body now.
No, I get it
totally. And she just looked at us, because I'd been the breadwinner for years. Like, I'd had this salary for years. Like, I'd never talked about money, really, just made things happen magically. And she just looked at us. She went, right, okay, we'll work it out. We didn't have any savings. Like, everything had gone. She was like, we'll work it out. And it was on the 20th of April, 2021. And it was her birthday the next day, and I was like, what a freaking birthday present. Anyway, on that day, I just got this surge of energy, because I dared say to her, please, can you hold me? I got this surge of energy, and I was like, you need to put something out to the world. You need to and I think I put like this 4-week group program on Instagram somewhere, which was about confidence and all of the things that are like the top level of things that people think they need. And I just put it out there on that day, and I opened me Instagram messages, and I had the same girl who I've talked to at dinner time, like always, perfect timing, had this message from her. She was like, I don't know if I need your group program. I didn't follow us. I've never met that before in my whole entire life. Don't know if I need your group program, but I really, really need something. Like, I can feel my life wants to go in one direction, and I'm the thing that's stopping it. And I was like, all right. She was like, could you have a call tomorrow? I was like, yeah, of course I can. Thinking, I don't know, get ready and that, and get myself geared up at the dining room table. And I'd been dabbling with lots of different spiritual modalities, and I can remember having this black obsidian in my hand, and obsidian's for protection. And I can remember having this obsidian in my hand, this palm stone. And I went on the call with her. And I was working with a coach at the time, and the pricing that she told us, I was like, those words cannot even come out of my mouth. Like, I cannot do this. But there was something in us that said, you're going to have to, because you can't pay your bills, babe. Like, the mortgage is due in 3 days' time. I don't know what we're going to do. So I'm sitting having this conversation with her, and I spat out the price. I literally spat out the price. And I'm rubbing my crystals thinking, oh, this is all right. She said, all right, okay. And I knew I needed £2,100 to pay me bills that month. Like that's what I needed. She said, hang on a minute. And she was doing aesthetics for my bedroom in COVID. Like she's a qualified nurse and all of that stuff now. Like she's come on a million miles. She says, I'm just going to see how much cash I've got in me drawer. And I was like, oh, she's cash. I was like, oh God, I think she's going to say yes here. Like, and I was thinking, even if she's got like a couple of £100, great. Like, it's a start. Even if she tells us that my price was hideous. And she came back and she said, well, I've got £2,100 in the drawer. And I'm wondering, because it's a 6-month program, could we do like a really low payment plan for the next 3 months while we do the work? And then we'll sort out the rest after. And it was in that moment where I thought, oh my God, I can do this, but I cannot do it following the strategy rule book that I thought I was going to follow.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be like, I'd bought loads of things about professional networking, and I thought, oh, I'll follow this and I'll follow up this and I'll do this. And actually, it was just sheer belief and sheer knowing that my worthiness is worth it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And the business is really, and for all I would never advocate setting your business up this way, that's how it's rolled. Like, it's always been a feeling thing forever.
I think that it's interesting because that's always been how we've been. But we're just talking about this to somebody else. But it isn't like one size fits all. Like when people try and have that magic formula, but it's got to be you. And like me and Ellie are the most uncomfortable salespeople ever because we've never had to do sales.
Exactly.
But some people love it, so do that. Do you know? I think I think it's a really interesting point you've made there, which is you can get so wound up in what other people are telling you what to do that you forget that you've got to listen to yourself.
Exactly.
And I think I'm not saying that works forever because running your own business is a roller coaster.
Oh, isn't it?
But actually, you've got to find the way that works for you rather than the way that other people tell you to do it.
And
I think that's pretty.
Karen, every time that I've then tried to jump into a more conventional way, it never works. No. It never works. And sometimes because I'm pig-headed, I'm a Taurian bull, I'm action-driven, like sometimes I can be so far in and then I like look back and I'm like, you knew that wasn't going to work in the first place? Come back, retreat, get yourself still for a bit and go again. Go again.
What do you most love about your work then now? I know you've talked a lot about transforming lives and, you know, I don't mean, but what do you really love about some of the other things?
What I really love is, and this might be the same for every coach, is I love the end. I love it. I love dancing in the shadows with people. I love setting the vision with people and dancing in the shadows with them. But like today, even if that girl even if she said, you know, I never want to work with you again, seeing that end result of that little bubble of joy in her arms and her being able to explain to us the overwhelming feeling that she had from motherhood, like that's the bit that I love. And none of it's instant. Well, I do have some clients who are super fast and the result is really instant. But I love the integration. I love watching women remember who they are, and then as they keep on remembering who they are, their world just gets even better. And that's the bit that I love. I love watching. And everybody will say like a weird voyeur, and I'm like, I am. Once you're in the orbit, I know the magic's going to happen after. So it's the after effects that I love the most. I really love the most.
So how did you then, because you said like you didn't even know that you wanted to just like work with women at first. How did you get to that point?
Well, this is probably the first bit of the conversation where I'll end up crying. So I was working with a...
You'll set us all off because I'll
There's going to be a few, so I'm going to say sorry right now. I was working with this coach, and I went to talk about like money mindset, like how to step away from that security. And what I didn't know at the time was money is just energy and it's all about inner safety. I didn't know any of that at the time. And I was sitting in a one-to-one with her. And I can remember there was 2 one-to-ones that were pivotal. One was with her, and we were talking about what the model was going to look like. Like, what are you actually going to do? Like, you're going to have a message. Like, you're going to have to put something out into the world. And I was having that conversation with her, and at that time, I really loved working with men. I think men are delightful to work with. I honestly do. And I've always had some of my best times in my corporate career with men. So it's like, it was never on my agenda to be a predominantly female-based coach. I still have one male client now. And she said, and she was deeply spiritual, and she like looked into my soul. She was like, "You've got loads of wounds with women, haven't you?" And I can remember looking at her thinking, "Oh, what a bitch. Here I have." Here I have. And because of my upbringing, like my mum died when I was 11, then my maternal
Wow.
auntie tried to do her best, but like on reflection could have done way, way better. My stepmom was doing her best, but ended up, she was me mum's best friend and then was my dad's partner and had a daughter. Like, I just had all of these women around us in my own life, and then
Yeah.
lots of wolves in sheep's clothing women in my corporate life, where I'd put on this mask, and I hadn't actually, for all I've got two girls, and my lens has always been to make the world better for them. That's where my whole mission comes from. I did feel unsafe around women and being in space with women. And she gave us a challenge. She was like, "I think your work now is to fix that wound through your work, because it's the only way that I would have fixed it, because I love work. I've always loved work." And I could remember sitting in, it was like January, it was freezing, it was pitch black, and I was thinking, right, okay, I don't really know what she means, but I'm going to give it a try. And what this experience has given us in the last 4 years in particular is every woman who I meet and I work intimately with, if I work one-to-one with them, they're a reflection. So it's, yes, I like, from a marketing perspective, you have to choose your marketing, but what I now know for sure, because that's what I thought it would be at first. She was like, "Oh, well, you'll need a message." I was like, "Oh, well, it'll just be the message and it doesn't matter." But now what I know for sure is anything that I'm feeling, somebody else is feeling, and anything that they're feeling, I might need to feel. And for me, the more I've done this work, and I think this is where our spirits are so aligned, this work has just shown me how important women are in the world, and how actually the more we can support each other and bring more to each other's economies and put more money in each other's hands, the more decisions we get to make. The more decisions we get to make, the less decisions of old happen. And that might not happen in my lifetime, and that's fine. But I need to set enough seeds in motion that the women who I work with get to know that they own it. They own the decision. They own their own reality. So that's where women came from. And the more time I spend with them, the more I just fall in love. And like, I'm a gay woman, I live with a woman, I've got two daughters. Anybody who would say it was, you had issues with women would be like, that's just a bit weird. But I just did. But it's the thing that I know I was brought to this earth to resolve for me and help other people resolve.
Where do you find your spirituality from? Like, not, it's about you, not about us, but it's a real interest we all have about the holisticness. I'm going to use the word holistic rather than, because I think it's a deeper understanding of you as a person, isn't it?
100%.
So how's that come into your life?
Do you know what, Karen? I was so lost for such a long time that I tried everything.
Were you?
Right.
I tried, yeah. I thought, if somebody's telling us to meditate because I'll feel better, I'll meditate. And I went to a festival. This was before I left corporate. This is where I really found, and God, there's so many layers to this story. Before I turned 40,
I've got so many questions to ask you, but
sorry. Before I turned 40, rather than going in and seeing that actually I'm just about to move into a new season, like, I've got to do something different, I've burnt the whole lot down. So I had an affair with somebody in my team. I sold the family home. Honest to God, cataclysmic, like, oh my God.
you went for
like,
it.
I went, and everything that was totally a character for me, I went for it. I completely
really pushing
went for
yourself into change.
Oh, yes. Well, like, if I'm gonna do it, let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
So anyway, burn everything down, and then, like, I am so grateful. I'm lucky. I'm everything, because Lindsay, who has literally been more of a parent to my girls than I have, she just watched what was happening from afar. So I was literally like killing her heart. And she just, even if she came in this room now, she would say, I never split up with her. She just needed to go and do this thing for a while, and I knew she would come back. So I went and did this thing for a while, and it was horrible. And one of my besties, one of my best friends, he'd said to us he'd been on his spiritual journey for a while. He'd been to Cambodia and done all of the spiritual stuff. And he said, "Oh, I'm meeting these two women who I met in Cambodia at this festival, and the festival doesn't exist anymore, which is really sad. But why don't you just come? Why don't you come along?" It was called Soul Circus, and I was like, "A Soul Circus?" He was like, "It's a yoga festival. Yoga's still me nemesis." It's like, me come to a yoga festival. I'm just putting my life back on track. I might as well give it a go. So I goes to this set of fields in the Cotswolds, not really knowing what to expect. Had a big party on the Thursday because I used to be a big party girl. Had a big party on the Thursday and just thought, oh, well, it'll soon be Sunday. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to go to yoga and they're going to yoga, I'm going to have to do something with my time. Like, I cannot just sit on here, Bales, drinking whatever I was drinking at the time. Like, I'm going to have to do something. So I thought, I'm going to find the weirdest things on the program. And so this was maybe like 20, how old was that? 7 years ago, 2018. And I was looking on the program, and there was some Kundalini stuff. There was some like ecstatic dance stuff, and then there was sound healing, and there was breath work. And I thought that's like what feels like my vibe. Like, I don't think I can go and lie and be still. Like, wouldn't have even thought about meditation or anything like that at that point. And still will say to people, you don't have to be a meditation guru to be spiritual. Like, it's all about capital S self. That's what spirituality is for me, capital S self. And I went to this this sound bath, and it was predominantly gongs at that time. It was before the big the big hype around sound. And I met this guy called Roger Gong. And Roger Gong was the coolest man in the world.
Gong?
Roger Gong. I mean, that's probably not his name, but
Well,
that's what his name
about
was.
his career.
Exactly that. So, and honestly, when he started to play these, and I'd kind of heard about gong bats before, but when I was lying in a field in an alien environment, and I allowed myself to sink into the sound, you can literally, you'll have had sound bats a million times. Whoever's watching might have. But when you allow yourself to sink into it, you can literally feel the vibration coming through your body and fixing you. It's like, oh my God, this is magic. And I also had a didgeridoo sound bath at that festival, and I was like, sound is my thing. Like, I'm going to gravitate towards sound. And then I'd gone to this breathwork tent, and I still use the same breathwork practitioner now. And he made us do some weird things. He made us do like deep breathing, like conscious breathing, all of this stuff. And then this one time he had gone to his tent when he was on, and we were in a circle. And then you had to like double up with strangers. So you were looking at a stranger in a circle, and you literally had to like do these rapid breaths and look in their eyes for 60 seconds. And it felt like 7 years for the first couple.
Yeah, I bet.
But it changes something inside of you. Like, it helps you when you look into their eyes. I mean, I'm not scientific at all, but when you look into their eyes, it changes something in your nervous system that says you are now looking back at yourself, because the connection's so strong. And it was those two experiences where I thought there's so much more that I haven't given credit to. So I just dove in, and then I kind of got a bit obsessed with meditation, a bit obsessed with sound and breath. But so much so, and I think this is really important for people to hear, I started to think, oh, well, I'll have to be the expert at that.
The best.
Yeah.
I'll have to learn to be a breathwork teacher. I'll have to
Get
learn
myself
to
a set of
play the
gongs.
gongs. Like, I'll have to have a set of crystal balls, otherwise nobody's going to believe is that I've got this faith.
Yeah, and I'll have to be the most well-rounded person in the world with no
100%.
issues. Yeah.
And Lindsay just used to look at us and go, yeah, babe, whatever you like, babe, whatever you like that makes you feel better, whatever you like. But I still anchor to those now. Like, I don't ever feel like I've got a consistent practice that keeps me faith up. But the faith that I do have is, and I used to call it spirituality, and now I just call it deep faith. It's a deep faith in me, and it's a deep faith in knowing that my path's already mapped. It doesn't matter how hard I try to create a different yellow brick road, my yellow brick road is still the same. And the more I follow that path, even when I can't see the yellow bricks in front of us, the more I follow that path, the nicer my life gets. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me. And it's not in the big things. It's not in the things that I would have put on my vision board 5 years ago. It's never those things anymore. It's like the kids coming for breakfast on a Sunday. It's like seeing Kelly's baby on a Zoom call. It's like a guy who I worked with last year messaging us last night saying I was at a festival at the weekend and I cried 3 times because somebody said something really nice to us. Like, that's what embeds my faith. It's nothing like I don't have gurus. I don't practice anything religiously every day, but I practice something every day.
That's awesome.
Do you think that like was the start of the like the identity stuff that that you're talking about earlier? Because because that's what, to me, I know, like, who am I to say it, but to me it sounded like, okay, there was this shift in where your identity was and who you thought you were and what you thought your value was clearly trying to come out in some way, wasn't
100%. And I tell you where it really came from. It was at that same festival, and Simon and the girls had got up to go to some form of sunrise yoga, and I was still resistant. It's like, I'm not going to yoga. And there was the yoga guy, and I still talk to him now. He runs a business called Total Warrior Yoga in Canada, and he's called Jared. And he was a yoga teacher, but for his sunrise session, he was doing storytelling. And we went and we sat in the tent, and he started to like talk about fables and talk about nursery rhymes and talk about fairy tales and how they actually were born, and then how they've been softened over time for there to be a message without it being a scary message. And it was that. And I was like, oh my God, like, if I'm going to try and create my own version of a fairy tale, it's got to be gruesome first. And that's okay. And I can remember sitting with him at the end, because I always thought that these people were born, these spiritual people that were born that way. They were like, they were born and they were taken to these special places where I'd never been, and I didn't know any of that stuff.
The top of the mountain.
I remember, they were just like dropped. And I remember saying back to talk to him, it's such a cool guy. And he said, Emma, he said, I was a Wall Street trader. He said, I worked on Wall Street for 10 years. And one day I walked out and thought, I can't walk back in there. And it was that moment that I think I realised, and I've got goosebumps just remembering it, where I thought, oh, and the dots didn't connect straight away, because I don't think the dots do always connect straight away.
No.
But it was that moment where I thought, oh, he used to be like me. Like, he used to love work. He used to be a workaholic. He used to do it for the business because he loved the business. But look at him now. He's like creating yoga wear for men, which just wasn't a thing back then. He's flying all over the world, teaching his version of yoga through his version of storytelling. And I think it was that moment, as much as the breath and the sound, where I thought there's just a different way here, and it's available to everybody. It really is.
That's lovely. Yeah,
that is lovely.
Really
and I think it's really important that storytelling is really important to people. But sometimes I think it's been overtaken nowadays, where it's like when people tell that, oh, well, I was this and now I'm this. But actually, it isn't. It's about your personal journey. And for anybody listening, it doesn't have to be significant. It can be tiny things every day. And sometimes it's really difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes trauma and bad stuff really changes you. And like, I've looked into it, Ellie's looked into it, all of our working careers, and you can't really get that change without trauma, which is really hideous, isn't it? Joe, like, you can't do that.
I agree, right? And I've just made this up 3 seconds ago, right? So it might not have any like value to it whatsoever. But then you think, like, is that true? Or are we just ignoring everything that leads up to that massive trauma because it's not... it's not enough to like
there.
Because I think we do, like, and I think it's everyone. You like, we were talking about it on a podcast the other day, like the listening to the whispers before they become the roars sort of thing. But I don't know whether it's like not trusting yourself enough, or it not being deemed big enough, as as you're saying, kind of like, because it's not a big, massive trauma, that you don't have to listen to it, do you?
I think it's a really good point, because I think we have like...
Good, because I'm not sure what my point was.
No, I think you should write about that. No, I think what you're saying is we've become... I can't think what the word is here, sorry, but life's hard knocks, we've like trivialised.
Yes.
To the point where we have to have a really, really big knock. Mine was health. or, but actually I think you're right, Elle, to some degree, we've trivialized life's hard knocks into, just get up and get on with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just get up and
100%.
I think there's something in that, which is the world doesn't respect that sometimes the knocks are pretty crap, really.
And
they're trying to tell you something.
The conversations that I have, like I have loads of like high flying women who their first thing they'll say to us is, mind I haven't got any trauma. Mind I haven't had a bad childhood. Mind. And I'm like, all right, okay. I didn't ask you that question, but that's okay. But what I can guarantee you is there will have been something that has upset you enough to leave an imprint in your body that is stopping you from moving forward. And you're completely right. Like some of the stories, same girl who I was talking to at lunchtime, it was the first time I'd like cracked this code with her. And she was like, Emma, there's nothing stopping us. Like I'm beating myself up now. There's nothing stopping us from moving forward. You're trying to find these beliefs. You're trying to find this stuff. Like she was literally saying, it was stop excavating. There's nothing there. And it's like, well, there's something there because we're not moving forward. Like I'll stop, but we're not going to move forward either, and that's not what you're here for. Anyway, she texted one morning. She was like, I need to talk to you, which is like alien for her. She's done it twice in the 4 years that we've worked together. She's like, I need to talk to you. Can I talk to you? And I said, yeah, of course you can. So we jumped on a call, and she said, I had this really weird dream last night. I was like, tell us about the dream. She was like, I'd gone back in time to when I was a kid, when I was in dance troupe, and when I'd been selected for this big dance festival thing. She said, and I can remember my mum had gone and got us the uniform. I'd had all the stuff. I was going to all the practice. I was like so like full of myself. She said, and then I knew that I had to have this certain bag. So when I went for the bus on the morning to go to the festival, we would all look the same, and my mum wouldn't buy us the bag. Like my mum just didn't get how important the bag was. She's like, it can't be that, can it? It's like, of course it can be that.
Yeah.
Of course it can be that, because that was her first remembering of not fitting in.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for us all to talk about. This isn't about the big stuff. Like the big stuff is explainable, and the big stuff, there are modalities to help you work through the big stuff. But the small stuff, especially when there's a fair few of them stacked up in your body, like what you're saying, it becomes a big thing.
I think it's like I think it's like a couple of things really resonate with me. I think one, you have to work with caution so that repeating the thing doesn't become even bigger.
Yes.
And I think the second thing is, and I think it's something I've just recently done this. I've had hypnotherapy about something really bonkers. I couldn't go to the opticians or a medical one, and I've had every conceivable help with it. And I decided, Aunt Ellie, that it was because of my experience with my cancer experience, and it was utterly bonkers. When I had my hypnotherapy, I won't show what it was, but I thought, oh my God,
but it was not that.
It wasn't that. So sometimes we attach, it's because of this. So I think, what am I trying to say here? Really interesting, and could talk about it forever. One, you have to be careful that you don't attribute meaning to something that is so false.
100%.
And I think I'm quite well read and well versed.
Yeah, but I get why you did it, because it made it made the most logical sense, because you couldn't even what it came up and what it brought up for you. You couldn't even really remember. Do you know what I mean? So how you can't.
But your brain will want to take you to that place that it really needed to go to.
I'm just thinking, going to the hospital, going to the doctor's actually saved my life. It's counterintuitive, but I guess, not for it to be about me, because it was something you just struck with me. I think it's that stepping into the space that you step into with care, caution.
Exactly that.
Kindness, and not taking, what's the word I'm trying to say, not taking responsibility or giving an answer to people is what I hear you talking about.
And that is the magic. And honestly, I think as a mum, as a sister, as a friend, as what I do for a living, I wish it was the thing that I'd understood earlier, that actually creating, and lots of women will say to us, like, how do you do this magic? And I'm like, I don't do the magic. What I'm really brave about is holding the space where you can create the magic, where I don't judge, where I don't have an opinion, where I'm not listening for an answer, where I'm not telling you what I think. It's so hard, and it's so energetically, like, if you're not attuned, it's so draining. But we've lost that ability. It seems like we've lost that ability to just hold space for one another, because
Yeah.
we're
I
always
agree.
listening to respond, or we've always
Or
our
being
feelings
the
somewhere else.
identity that people expect of us, and or
Exactly
doing
that.
the thing that society expects of us. That
Exactly that.
and it's, I think it's so interesting that I think coaching and how you coach people, what you coach people on now is incredibly different.
Oh, incredibly different. And
Yeah.
I still will say, and I've talked about this on my podcast this week, is I still have women who'll say to us, I just need a new strategy. And I know you've worked in the corporate world for
I
years, and
need
I
a
know you're
plan.
really good at strategy. And I'm like, yeah, you know what makes us really, really, really good at strategy is I don't write the strategy until the end, because I don't write the strategy. Like, the strategy comes from everything you learn about yourself on the way. So yeah, I'm really cool at strategy, but only if you do the work. And it's not until somebody's in it where they're like, oh shit, this is going to be the strategy, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, let's not call it a strategy. This is just the path that you're going to follow up
Such a
now.
stupid word anyway, isn't it?
It
I
is, and then
hate the
like,
word. I hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah,
it's
hate
just like
it.
and it's hard, and you know, to go back to sort of what you were saying, like earlier on in the conversation about how it was never going to work for you. And I think honestly, like, the big business practices, well, they're barely working for the big businesses.
Exactly
Yeah.
that.
Like,
Exactly that.
Yeah.
so, you know, you can't expect it to translate, or at least translate overnight and sort all your problems out, because it's a
The
bit
only
shit.
person,
Sorry.
and the only person who can do that for you is you.
Yourself.
And
Yeah.
the people who I see having the biggest external results are the people who have dared go the deepest.
Yeah.
And
And
we've
owned
danced
it
in the
and taken
shadows,
responsibility.
100%. We've danced in the shadows to the point where they're like, actually, I'm really, really comfortable that that is part of me now. So
Yeah.
when that shadow comes again, we can easily say, oh, I wonder what it's telling us, rather than I'm scared of it and I'm going to retreat. And I try really hard not to talk about that stuff, because it's scary for people. But it's exactly what you said, Elle. It's like the shadows are made up of a sum of component parts.
Yeah.
They're rarely, like, I rarely get a woman who has got like a big T trauma that they haven't already started to like work through.
Yeah.
What I do find is lots of women with so many small T traumas,
Yeah.
so many things where they wish they'd spoken up, so many things where they'd said they wish they'd had the guts to say it. That's fucking wrong. And they've compounded it in their body. So their nervous system says, you can't be heard anymore because we gave you an opportunity to be heard and you didn't take the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's the work. That's the work. 100% that's the work.
100%.
Yeah, it's really important.
So what's the next 6 months then, Emma? Because we could be on here for a year. So yeah, doing another 12 podcasts with us too. So,
I will be here every week if you want it to be. The next 6 months for me, so I've just had a really challenging 6 months.
Have you?
And I'm never going to hide from those things. Like, my eldest daughter left home, and it uncovered so many things about me that I'd masked or overridden, or whatever terminology you want to use. And for the first time in my life, really, because the first time I managed to resolve my own financial issues, for the first time I've been financially held by Lindsay, and I understand the privilege of that. I understand that not many people can run their business for 4 months and only do the things that they want to do. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not deeply privileged, but that for me, along with Millie moving out and me processing trauma that I'd just allowed to sit in my body for 30 odd years, has been really, really hard.
That's it.
And I decided at the end of May, and there's like a big line in my journal that is like got the date on, and I was like, I've decided that I've got to practice what I preach all of the time now. And so the next 6 months is more about creating more ease for me in my business, because that feeling of financial insecurity is never ever going to feel
awful.
comfortable for me.
No.
Horrible. And even now it like makes me heart race. Like, I find it really hard to breathe.
Take it down to its survival emotion, it's about scarcity, isn't it?
100%.
It's
100%.
massive. Yeah.
And it's even like, now I even pick myself up on things, and I'll say them out loud to Lindsay, and she'll go, is that really what you've thought for all of these years? And I'm like, yeah. even down to like what we would watch on the telly. Like, I will please you, because if I please you, then you won't leave me. And it's all grief
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
It's like, it's,
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to you
yeah.
for a million hours about all of that. But I decided that I was going to create more ease, more expansion, and create impact for more women. So that's what the next
Well,
6 months, 12
well,
months,
you're
18
more
months
than
looks like.
happy to come and help us with our many, many plans.
Oh,
So
I
Yeah.
definitely
you
will.
regret
I
saying that.
definitely will. I love that. And you know what? It's I have another two I'm gonna call them friends now. I used to call them enemies. I used to watch them from afar and think, oh, like, you can do that. That means that I can't do that because you're doing that and you live around the corner from me. And this morning, I physically, when I was going through this whole, like, you've got a choice here to make again. You can go and burn it all down again like you did when you were 40. I was like, shit, no, we're not going there again. We're going to stay in the moment. We're going to feel the feelings. And I decided to put myself in the room with them. I went and I was coached by them for a day, and it was beautiful. And they've just put something out that's going to be out at the same time as what I'm going to put out. And I couldn't wait to celebrate them this morning. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do for the next 6 months, 12 months, forevermore, is stop putting myself into that place of scarcity,
Yeah.
and know that if somebody around the corner is doing it, it means that we can all do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I can do it, so can you. So that's like, the mission will never change, that it's always about setting the example for the next generation.
Yeah.
But to do that, you've got to be bold and let go of those things that have kept you safe
I
for all
think
them
that's
years.
why we
Yeah.
why we did Women of Our Time. Eventually, you get to the point which is we're all fight. I use the word fighting because sometimes it's not physical fighting, but it's head fighting or
Yeah.
jealousy or envy,
Yes.
and we're all like, well, they're doing it, I can't. But if you take a step back from that and think, we've been trying to change this for 50 years.
Exactly that.
We've created all these little fiefdoms, haven't we? You know, all with good intent,
100%.
all with good purpose. And actually, what it does is it steps you back. And if you don't step into that space and think, do you know what? It doesn't matter. They haven't done this for 50 years. So I think that's
Exactly.
really amazing to hear, Emma.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge change, isn't it? Do you know,
100%.
huge.
And it's you just can't. And to go back to the conversation around, like, being human, you can't be human and not put yourself into places of discomfort. You just can't, because in those places of discomfort is where there is just so much gold.
Yeah.
There is so much magic that it can sometimes be the thing that changes your life.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got
I
to
think
remember.
it's liberating when you're able to say that. Like when I was talking to Ellie about my fear of opticians, which is just ridiculous. And actually, I learned to understand that fear is okay. It's who we are. We've just got this mad brain that's developed.
Yeah.
Exactly
Living
that.
with fear is the dangerous thing.
And
You know.
fear becoming the norm is the dangerous
Yeah.
thing. Like, one of my things, and I had hypnotherapy for this a couple of years ago, was the fear of everyone else. The fear of me not being in control, particularly of my girls, particularly as they got older, particularly when they were in environments where there was danger. I'm better at sleeping now, but I didn't sleep from them being, well, I didn't really sleep full stop, but I didn't sleep from them being 16 when they started to be a little bit like out of control.
Driving.
And I still don't, all of it. I still don't. Like, Millie was at Boardmasters last week, and I was in the field with her on the app. I was in the field with her, but it's no longer coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of, I trust her, and I trust that she is a well-rounded woman who can look after herself, because it all comes back to that. If you let fear overcome you, which I did for years, nobody would have known.
Me.
But it is debilitating, like, wholly debilitating.
Yeah. And we need to be able to, which is what has been amazing today, we need to be able to have those conversations where you can have a conversation about fear without you feeling weak, vulnerable, over dramatic, like not able to cope with the world, because fear is here. Like lots of things,
100%.
guilt, fear, scarcity, they what exists. And I think we have to change the nature of the conversation about it.
And it's
grief is real.
Exactly that. And grief stays with you. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Grief, you learn to live with it differently. For me anyway, it has never left us. And I don't really want it to be honest, because that's my connection to that person who I love. And I guess, like, to round off on the fear piece, it's one of my favourite questions, and it triggers the hell out of a lot of people. I'll go, well, what are you scared of, like? And I just say it in that frame, and they'll go, scared? I'm not scared. And I'm like, well, you are. And they're like, I'm not. I'm like, well, you are. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if you weren't scared and you were full of love and full of joy for something, you would have done it by now. You wouldn't be sitting in the room with
you
me.
wouldn't have been bellowing at me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you just need to admit that our body will always instinctively try and keep us safe, so will our brain.
Yeah.
So if keeping you safe is stopping you from moving on, there's something that's fundamentally still stuck. So let's find the thing that's stuck. There's nothing wrong with it. And sometimes we just have to embrace it and make it part of who we are. I use it as fuel with a lot of clients. Like I use it as massive.
Good, really good. It's awesome.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And this conversation has been brilliant. So honestly, thank you for taking the time to come on and talk
back tomorrow.
to us. That's fine. Yeah, you can.
She can't come back tomorrow. We're full again.
No, you can't come back tomorrow. But you can come back next week.
Oh, I love that you're full. I love that that you're given the opportunity to so many women.
I think it's
to
amazing.
Use their voice.
No, honestly, it's amazing, isn't it, Elle? We were like, we've been a bit overwhelmed by it, haven't we, with the interest, and nobody's coming from an ego, which I think is just pretty awesome, you know.
And when you think about it, though, Karen, women like across history have predominantly never been allowed to use their voice for them. Like they'll use it for their kids, they'll use it for the cause, they'll use it for something that they believe in. But actually just using their voice for them. Like I have one client who I've been with for, just used to work for us in the corporate world, who's been with us a long time now. And every time we sit down and we say, like, what does the next quarter look like? What does the next 6 months look like? She's like, just to be more seen and be more heard. Like that's our forever objective, is to be more seen and more heard.
I love it.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
So then last and final question then, Emma. And you know what's coming. If you had to choose a song to be the theme song for your life, or what would it be?
Oh, I said this before we started recording. This blew my mind, this question. Because the songs that I love, the songs that I would go to put on, like to make us feel good, and I'm a lyrics girl, I'm an absolute lyrics girl, like do not represent who I am from a theme tune point of view. And I was thinking, what's the one song that I always go to if I want to feel uplifted, if I want to uplift others? And it's probably a little bit of a cliche, but it's Nina Simone, Feeling Good. Like it's the song where, and it can only be her singing it, but it's the song that I put on because one of my mantras to myself on a morning, especially on the harder days, and I mean, you're going to have to use your imagination because I live in the northeast and it's always grey outside, is the sky is blue. The sky is blue, the sky is blue, the sky is blue, because it reminds us that some things are constant, like you're not constant, the way you feel it's not constant. And that song epitomizes that for me. Like the lyrics in that song is just so beautiful around, like, listen to the birds, look at the trees, come back to the fact that you're this tiny little piece of matter who was lucky enough to have this lifetime. And that's like, if I could be remembered when I leave this earth as this version of me, if I could be remembered for people knowing who they were because of the conversation that they had with me, like that is my job done. And that's awesome, what that song reminds me of.
We're going to put the songs on a playlist, but I do think there's something where we need to maybe put like a little like why.
Yes. Because when I was talking to Lindsay about it this morning when we were having coffee before we started work, and she was like, "That's really weird because I'm a dance music fan. Like, give me a bit of Darude, a bit of Silence, like all of the old 90s and noughties dance tunes, and I'm there. Like, that is the playlist that you would have to put on and like get us on the dance floor." But then I was thinking the songs that really like get us are the complete opposite.
Yeah, I think we've had some really interesting ones, haven't we, Elle? Like,
I'm sure someone had a Darude song as one of
they
theirs.
have.
I just can't remember who it was and what it was. I think they have.
Somebody definitely has, Elle. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't remember who it
about
was.
the songs, but yeah, we're going to do a
playlist. It's going to get on your
playlist.
nerves now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to really annoy me.
You'll have to message us when you remember.
I will. Honestly, I will. No, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk.
So nice to see you both. Really nice.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Really nice.
And thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.